Well, hello everybody. I'm excited to be back with you today, and for most of the reasons because I get to have a conversation with Megan McKenzie, and a lot of you may or may not know who she is if you've been around the church for any number of years, especially around Christmas. Megan has been a key part of our offering to our community over the Christmas season, and she's recently joined staff, and so we're going to spend a few minutes getting to know her. And also, I don't want to give too much away, but I'm really excited to hear about the new way that we've had to reinvent, and by we I mean her and the team, reinvent the Five Corners Christmas. So Megan, it's good to have you here today. Thank you for being willing to be a part of this.
Oh no, thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So give us a little bit of a heads up on who you are. Like, if there were anything that we would need to know about you, what are a couple of those things?
Oh man, such a big question. Well, I think the biggest thing about me that most people know as soon as they spend time with me is that I am an art person through and through. So being able to be here at CAC and pursue some of the things that make me really happy has been fantastic. So I love to write and direct and act and do all of those kind of fun things. I'm also an older sister, and I think that has totally shaped who I am as a person. My inclination to be bossy probably comes from being an older sister, which my younger sister might not like, but I think has kind of been a benefit in some way to my role here and to the things that I do out in the community. So those are a couple things probably that people would get to know about me if they spent time with me.
So people would automatically think you're bossy.
You know what? I probably think yes, they would, but maybe not. Maybe not. I might hide it fairly well. It's the actor in me, right?
I get that. I'm an older sister too.
Yeah.
I don't think my sister would be watching this or listening, but I guarantee you she would agree. She would agree with that statement.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your role here. You've been on staff. How long you've been on staff? What your role is?
Yeah, I've been on staff officially just for 2 years, so this is my second Christmas on staff here, but I've been around for the entire Five Corners, like, since we began. So it's been, I guess this is our 11th Christmas, so I've been in and out for 11 years. I think I took maybe 2 years off kind of throughout that time, but so yeah, about 9 years or so I've been around, but officially on staff for 2. Which has been fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome having you. And so in the last 2 years, what has that role looked like? If I were to look at a business card, what would that title be, and what does that encompass?
Yeah, no, so Special Events Coordinator is my official title here on staff, which looked very different last year than it does this year. We finally got used to kind of what that role was going to look like, which was all the large-scale events that we do here at CAC. So namely, Five Corners Christmas is the large bulk of what I do, but that also encompasses Easter and the odd other kind of big one-off event that we might have.
Like a Mother's Day?
Yeah, like Mother's Day, those kind of special events that we have here. So last year, that's what that looked like. Live, in-person, Five Corners Christmas, live, in-person Easter. And then we finally got used to kind of what that was going to look like coming into this year. And COVID hit. And so this year, I did get to stay on staff, which was fantastic. My role did shift and change kind of through the summer and into the fall as we figured out what that was going to look like. And so this year, thus far, it has been figuring out how we were going to offer Five Corners Christmas to the community in this new pandemic world that we live in.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and I'm looking forward to getting to that point. But before we get there, can you kind of give us a little bit of a history of what Five Corners has, like, how it started, how it's kind of morphed over the years, and then we'll get to the good stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. I think Five Corners, I look back on it, we were talking about this recently, and I can't believe it's been 11 years since we started. I feel like it was just yesterday that I was showing up fresh out of college and excited for this opportunity. So we started back in, I think it would have been 2009, and I was a student at the University of the Fraser Valley, so just across the street here, when they had the theater campus over on Airport Road, and had just finished my Bachelor's of Education. And I got an email from this guy named Greg Zacharias, and he was looking for a director for their Christmas production here at CAC. And the rest was kind of history for me. I came in and we did a one-off show that year. So it was called The Mystery of Christmas, and starred a few members of the congregation who you'd still see on stage today. Like John Freeman was in that show, and he was in our show last year for the 10th anniversary. So we started with that production, and then the following year we came together as kind of like a creative team. There were about 6-7 of us on that team, looking to the future to establish what do we want to offer to the community. What do we want our Christmas to be year after year after year? How can we grow? And so from there, Five Corners Christmas was born, and we did that up until last year. Or different this year, obviously, but still something that we are seeing through. So we kind of made the decision to set it in Chilliwack, set it locally, create characters that kind of embody some of the people that we might see here, our neighbors, ourselves, and bring people through the different eras. So we started in the settlements of Chilliwack in the early 1900s and moved through the Great War and into the Roaring 20s, which was so much fun, through the Great Depression and the Second World War and into the 50s. So we kind of took one generation after another. And then after the 50s, we decided it might be time for something new. Let's kind of take a look at what we want to do for the next few years. And then we kind of started doing more one-off shows from there that were a little bit more modern. But that brought us up till last year.
I remember most of those just quite fondly. There was always something really special about either the story or the history aspect. Just the details that your team took care of were remarkable. When you were sitting out and planning these things, what were those things that you were wanting to offer the community?
Yeah, great question. There were many things. Essentially, at the end of the day, Five Corners has always been a love offering. We just want people to know that we love them and we care about them, and we want them to come in to our church and to spend some time with us and just feel loved and welcome here. That was always our main primary goal with doing Five Corners. And I think from there, it just grew to be just a little bit bigger every year, and there were different things every year that we wanted to do and wanted to accomplish. But at the end of the day, it has always just been a love offering, and that is probably honestly one of my absolute favorite things about it, is that this is just for our community and a chance for us to glorify the Lord and to share the Lord with people who might not know him and who might only come out to churches or come out to different events at Christmas time with their family. And so that was kind of our intent with it. We just want people to feel welcome here and to be excited about the opportunity or possibility of coming back.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's so funny because I've helped out just kind of in the background, mm-hmm. and it's so cool to have seen the same people year after year. And I mean, there's families that I can think of that they all gather and they always come the first night.
Yes.
And so for, I think it was 7 years in a row, I would see the same family. You know, it's the only time of year I see them.
Yeah.
Because they're from out in the community. Right. But it was just a really fun, I guess, tradition for them. So, you know, COVID hit everything pretty hard, as we know. And so when did you have to start kind of thinking, we're gonna maybe have to do this a little different? When did that start?
Yeah, honestly, I think the dialogue started really early. So we closed up right around Easter originally, and we had an Easter celebration planned, and it was going to be live, and we had actors ready and a presentation prepared when we realized that wasn't going to be possible. So I'm going to say it was probably in the late spring, early summer that we started kind of dialoguing a little bit about what is this actually going to look like? Is it possible that we're going to be able to offer anything to the community this year? And the thought of not being able to do that was just heartbreaking for all of us involved, and we knew that wasn't going to be an option. We had to do something. So a number of us went away, and we started thinking, okay, what is possible? What does the Lord want us to do this year? And how are we going to be able to shape something different but very special for people? So we came back together in, it would have been probably late August, early September, and started kind of tossing ideas out on the table, and eventually the Blessings of Five Corners Christmas was born, and we dove right in from there.
How long do you think that took? Like, talk to me a little bit about the process. Was it challenging? Were there nuances and different things that were concerning to you? Like, how did you guys work through some of those tensions?
Yeah, there are a lot of concerning things. I think originally we were hopeful that COVID, would maybe be more of a fleeting thing, and that perhaps we could open our doors for something smaller at Christmas time. And so I think we went through the process of thinking big at first. So thinking hopeful and thinking big. So how can we do an actual in-person offering to people? How can we use outside? How can we move ahead with the restrictions but still welcome people here with us? And after, seeing how things were progressing, we realized that wasn't going to be possible. And so I think it was a lot of adapting. That's the word, actually. I've labeled our team this year the Dream Team, and that's our motto word, adaptability. We have just had to learn to adapt. And while it's been challenging, that's also been such a cool experience and really uplifting for me and affirming to see these amazing people that I get to work with every day, and just how flexible they are and how much they're able to trust the Lord and trust in the process that this is gonna work out in the end. But it wasn't without its immense challenges, and I think a handful of sleepless nights and a handful of stressed emails back and forth between those of us on the team. And I think in the end, as it always happens with the Lord, it turned out exactly how He wanted it to.
How did you I don't know if there's just one specific moment where you as a team were just kind of came to the realization, well, like, this is it. Like, this is the idea that we're going to pursue, and we're going to go for it because we're convinced that this. Was there a moment like that? What was that? What was it like?
Yeah, there was. We were so it would have been myself and Pastor Greg and Pastor Matt and Pastor Carol and Chantel. We were sitting together in the ministry lounge at the end of the summer, and we had gone back and forth about what are we going to do? What's this going to look like? And Matt came to the table and said, here's this idea that I have. I love the idea of blessing people. Why can we not use our money that we would typically use to put the production on, and that money's there? Why can we not use this and give it to people who need it? Give it to organizations who need it? How can we still love the people in our community and love the people in our church and show them that they matter and that they care, especially during a really difficult time? How can we use that as our motivator to move forward? And so he came to the table with that fantastic idea, and that just kind of snowballed a lot of different ideas from there. But that was the moment. That was the day. I think it was probably in August. I think all of us were dressed for the summer, and it was an afternoon. We all just came together, and it felt very, I think at the end of it, I felt very peaceful. I felt like this is what the Lord wants us to do. It's going to be overwhelming, and it's going to be a lot of work, and I think none of us could have anticipated actually how much work it was going to be in the end, but it was, I think we just knew that this is what the Lord wanted, and we had waded through a lot of other ideas and hadn't felt peaceful about any of them until that day.
Yeah, that is so cool, because I remember in one of our staff meetings the idea was pitched, and like, that sounds really awesome. I have absolutely no idea what that means. I have no idea. Like, I had no way of putting a picture of what that could be in my head, but the idea, I remember, I think it was probably Pastor Matt that was speaking to it, just the idea of this is bigger than inside of our building. Like, this has the chance to be so much bigger than what we have offered before. And I think he's right, because, I mean, I don't know many people who haven't been on Facebook or, things like that, and, haven't watched some of those really moving videos, like the airlines have done those, or, oh, for goodness sakes, even for like some of those puppy videos people are bawling at. But you know what I mean? Like those feel good kinds of things. And this is that, but more. And when I saw the first video, I was like weeping by myself, like on my couch, because it was so beautiful, because of how everything worked together, and how big it can be, and how much of a blessing it can be, because it can be perpetuated. People can be inspired, not just sharing the video, but sharing in what the video is doing, maybe for other people. And I remember Matt speaking to that a little bit, as being part of the impetus for for using the budget for those kinds of things. So the videos are absolutely spectacular. So what?
Thank you.
You had talked about being always interested in the arts, and I truthfully don't know much about your journey as a Christian, but over the years, what has it looked like for you to be able to, with this in mind and the things that have been happening, through the traditional Five Corners and now through the blessings of Five Corners, how have you seen God use and develop some of those loves, talents, passions to produce and to direct things like this? How have you seen him show up for you?
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I think it's because of the arts that I probably became a Christian, I think. So I don't come from a Christian family. Like, we weren't raised in church. And I always kind of share a little bit of my testimony because I find it kind of cool, is that I never learned about the Lord. I didn't know anything about him, yet at the same time, I always knew him. And so God was just this friend that I had that I would talk to at nighttime or talk to when things were not going well. And so for whatever reason, he was just always in me. And I knew who he was, even without ever having learned about him. But I didn't go to church and I didn't pursue him until I met Pastor Greg, and he brought me into the church. And so I think I always look back and say it was because of my love of theater and the fact that I was at UFE at the right time that God brought me here. And I know that was always his plan for me, because something was missing, and doing the arts for the Lord and using it as a ministry was the piece that was missing for me. It never felt as fulfilling, I think, as a performer as you think it's going to. I think, that applause that you're looking for, kind of the recognition, it never did it for me. And the piece that was missing was the reason behind it. What is my purpose for doing it? Why do I want to tell stories? Why do I want to put all this effort and time into a production that's going to be on for a weekend and then be over? And it has completely changed it for me. Having something so important as the motivation behind it, I think, has been just absolutely life-giving and completely life-changing for me. And so I think that God, he's always spoken to me through people. Obviously, I think he brings people into our lives when we need them. And the people here at Chilliwack Alliance have always, they've just always been there when things have been going sideways or challenging. And I don't know, I always thank the Lord for my love of theater because it brought me here.
Wow, I had never heard that before. That's amazing. And so what did that feel like when you were able to put that piece together, when you were able to slide that in place? What did that do to you?
Oh, I think it honestly just lit me on fire. Like, that's probably the best way to put it, is for so many years, it was the only thing I could think about doing. It was, Christmas would start in August and it would end in December, and then we'd take 2 weeks off and then next Christmas would start. And part of that's because that's what it's like in theater world, and the other part is because I was so excited. What's coming next? What story does the Lord have for us? What message does he want people to hear? And so I'm a very reserved person, particularly for someone in the arts. And so those moments when I do get lit on fire and I do get excited and passionate, those are just like such joyful moments for me. And so I think that is really what I remember. That the first Five Corners Christmas, 2010, and opening night of that show, and everything just felt like it finally clicked for me. I wasn't acting, I wasn't on stage, I wasn't looking for an applause. In fact, for the first time, I didn't actually want recognition. And that's been one of the coolest things for me since that day, is that my desire for recognition and my desire to actually be in the limelight has completely shifted. And I just want the Lord to be glorified. And he's the reason we're doing it. And so I think that has just been really fundamentally life-changing for me.
Yeah, that's incredible. I just don't know a lot of people in the arts, and so this conversation is just, it's so beautiful to me to hear these kinds of things, and that we have people like you serving, you know, our church and our community in these ways. It's awesome. What do you think are some things that God might be calling out of you in this season, you know, with the challenges and, you know, the new way of having to look at things? What are some of those maybe new ways that you've had to interact with him, or that you've seen him show up for you?
Yeah, I mean, the word I always come back to lately is just trust. I struggle a lot with trusting people. That's always been a challenge of mine, and that's always been my hiccup with the Lord too, is those moments I'm just fearful that he's not going to be there, or things are not going to turn out the way that I want them to. And it's because there's a lack of trust in my life in those moments. And I have just, in the last year, had to throw my hands up and just surrender everything back over to him. You know, both my life and my job here and this ministry here. And I think coming back to the idea of trusting him and the fact that this is what our world looks like right now. And it's sad and it's different, but it's okay because we have him and he's gonna see us through it. I think it's been kind of cool for me to trust that this journey that we're on and this journey that I'm on is not over. It's just shifting. And some of the cool experiences that we've had this year we would never have been able to have if the pandemic wasn't here. And so, you know, I have such an interest now in film that I didn't think I would have before. I worked in the film industry for a few years out of high school, and didn't like it. I found it to be, you know, somewhat materialistic and stressful, and it wasn't what I had thought it was going to be. And so it kind of soured the idea of film for me. And then now, being involved in it this year, it has been one of the absolute coolest things. Just even getting to say, like, oh, we're going to set today, or here's the shoot schedule. It feels just, it's different, but it's exciting. And so I think that the Lord has sparked in me a desire to learn more about that, to figure out how I can use kind of the creative brain that he's gifted me with to put together just different offerings for our community here, but also the community at large, because that's one of the best things that's come out of this, is that we can reach a much larger scope of people.
Yeah, that is for sure. We're certainly finding that out as we've had to move online, and even just some of the comments from where people are from that have just, popped in to say hello and things like that. So, well, Megan, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
I feel like we could just have this chat for hours and hours, but I appreciate your time. I appreciate that you're on staff here at the church. And friends, those of you that are watching, or those of you that are listening, like these are the kinds of people that we have serving at our church. And, as you look, and I hope you look, because you honestly need to watch these Blessings of Five Corners videos. Megan, can you tell us where we can find those?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a number of places you can find them. So the easiest might be to go to the church website. So go to the church website, and there is a tab that says events and then Christmas. So you can find it there, or you can go to our Facebook or YouTube channels, and you can find them there as well.
Perfect. I'm not even kidding when I say this. You've got to watch these videos. And then what you need to do after that is you need to share them. Because again, these things, it's not about us as a church. It's not about our name getting out there, like this church is doing such good things. It's about people rallying around people to bless them for a variety of different reasons. And I really think that comes through in these blessings videos. And so please have a look at them. And I hope that they would inspire. I hope that they would inspire you to look at those people around you and assess, like, what are the felt needs. And then if there's a way that you can find to help address that. This is a hard season for everyone, and we have been blessed to be a blessing, and I don't say that lightly. So Megan, again, thank you for your time. Again, watch the videos and share, pass them on, and I think you'll be blessed, and you'll be blessing to others. So, well,
thanks, Holly.
Thanks, Megan.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.